So you guys know that I have been rereading the Throne of Glass series. I've gotten 4 books in and I've decided I need to talk about some things. So I have read The Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and I just recently finished reading Aerophile. And my opinions about this series have changed from when I read it 3 years ago. So I need to just talk about some stuff. But just to say right now, it doesn't mean that I hate this series now. I actually still really enjoy it. I actually love it even more now that I've reread it. But there's so many things that when I was 16 I thought were right, and now that I am 20 I feel differently about them, and I just need to talk. And this is totally unscripted. I have no notes. I just wanted to film, so I don't even know what's going to be coming out of my mouth tonight, but we are going to see what we get. This is going to have spoilers in it. I don't even know if it's going to have spoilers for Queen of Shadows and Emperor of Storms, because I can reach for those books because I have read them and I know what happens, but there is going to be spoilers. So if you haven't read any of the Throne of Glass series, I'd probably stay away just in case. So obviously the first thing I need to talk about is Abbeyleec and her boys, because she has 4 love interests. Is there any book out there that a character actually has 4 love interests? I think one's enough for a character, but no, she gets 4. Firstly, we have our lovely Sam, who is a character I've recently decided that I love and did not deserve none of the shit that happened to him. But the first time I read these, I read the first 3 and then I read The Assassin's Blade. So Sam was just that background character, like you knew that they died in the first time that I read it, like you knew about them, but then you read Assassin's Blade and then you realize that they were such a great person, but still, because I was already past all that, it didn't really affect me. But I started this reread by reading Assassin's Blade first because I strongly believe it's better to read about Selena actually being an assassin. She's not really an assassin once you get to Throne of Glass, because she doesn't kill anyone for the king, and she sort of only kills people when they've hurt someone or hurt her, so she's not really an assassin anymore. But you do get to see her being more of an assassin in The Assassin's Blade. So Sam is written as this character like that. They're fighting a lot when he's first introduced, and then, you know, you find out like he's like, oh, he's just being mean to you because he likes you things. So we get to love Sam and it's all sweet, and then he dies and that bloody arsehole kills him, and I just was so, I couldn't, like I was so upset because like he didn't deserve it. And the way they're describing his mutilated body, and then Selena went to prison and everything is just so shit in her life, like I'm not okay, because like that is just too much pain. And even though everyone's all like, oh my god, there's like no major character deaths in this book, like what about Sam? Sam is important and I'm not okay. As we get into Throne of Glass, we know that we're gonna have the love triangle with Dorian and Chaol, and we have Dorian as like the first love interest because like, I mean, Abbeyleec kisses him a few times and like they bond over reading and stuff, and literally by the end of Throne of Glass, Dorian's like, I would kill everyone for her. I would sacrifice anything, I would do anything to keep her safe because I love her so much. And then because Abbeyleec breaks up with him because she's like, I can't really be with you if I'm going to be the king's assassin, like we can't really like go there. He's all like, oh yeah, that's cool, but you can totally feel that he wants there to be a relationship. So Dorian's relationship, like for me, I was team Chaol. I never really liked that relationship, but now like I get why it's needed, and it makes more sense when you do find out that Selena, I feel like I've been calling her Abbeyleec, is that a spoiler? I don't even know, but I mean, I told you there were spoilers, but Selena's Abbeyleec and like he's meant to be her like greatest enemy, so nothing really was gonna happen there. But Chaol's relationship with her, I am obsessed with. And then Dorian meets Saoirse, and then literally he says it in the book where he's like, I can't believe like a month ago I was so set on Selena. I mean like, I'm gonna fight for you. Now he has Saoirse, and then head gets ripped off, but that's another story and it's very sad. Then we have Chaol, who I was always team Chaol. Like, I've always been a reader. At the age of 15 below, I probably had only read like 100 books in my life because I didn't read as frequently as I do now. So I didn't really have much to compare it to. So when I read this book at first, since the Infernal Devices, it was one of like the biggest love triangles I've kind of read, and I was so set on Chaol, and when she picked him, I thought, you know, this is it, like we're done, we're here. Then he stuffs it. Honestly, he stuffs it. And the first time I read it, I couldn't understand why they broke up. I couldn't understand why she was being so soupy about it. And then Rowan got introduced and I hated him. Like I hated Rowan so much, and I just couldn't with it. And I was just like, they should have just stayed a friendship. But then they got married, and then they were together, and then they're mates, and it's just like, please no. But on reread, I knew it was coming, like, because I was so scarred the first time reading this, because I was just like, they're gonna get back together, like they have to get back together, like something's gonna happen to make it so that they can be together. But then Chaol went off and he married Irene, and everything's okay. Like I'm okay now, like I've let go of that relationship. So being able to reread this book and to actually, like, you know, like Rowan for once, and to understand what happened, because really Chaol and Selena Kale never would have worked. I don't think it was wrong for Kale not to tell Selena about the death threat against Nehemia. I didn't think that was wrong because he was totally behind following his king. Like, he's the captain of the guard and he got told by his king not to tell anyone, so he's following the rules. And I don't even think it would have made much sense. But when Kale got taken and Selena, you know, she's there in her room and she's waiting, and it was just parallel to how she waited for Sam. And if she knew, if there was some way that she was able to get to Sam, she could have saved him. She got the note and then she started running through the city. She just had all those same fears, and it was actually so upsetting to read because she was so scared that she was going to be too late and she couldn't handle that. So when she got to Kale and she was able to save him, she was so relieved, but then she found out that Nehemia was in more danger and she ran across the city. She ran as fast as she could, and then she got there, and then just to see Nehemia's body and for her to know that she was too late, like she saved the wrong person. And like, just to the fact that, because like that brought so much pain back from Sam and it made her so upset, and I was so upset for her, and I just couldn't believe this was happening. And like, then she saw Kale and then she knew that something had gone wrong, and then she just said, "You will always be my enemy," and she scratched him. And when that first happened, I was so upset. Like, I couldn't believe she was reacting this way, but now I understand it, because when I read it the first time, I hadn't read about Sam's death as much, and now hits ya. And how she was so sad for so long, and then when they had the demon come through and she was opening the door to see Nehemia because she was that broken, and then when Kale saw her in the Fae form and he had such a look of disgust on his face, like I never picked that up because I was just choosing to ignore the bad facts about their relationship because I was such strongly shipping it that I didn't realize it was somewhat toxic. Because if you can't pick and choose the parts of someone that you are going to love, and they do say this in the book, and I have noticed that it is a part of Verifier, but I just couldn't like accept it at all that this was happening. But Kale needs someone that he can trust completely, and Selena wouldn't have been that person. And when he found out that she was Aelin, it wouldn't have happened. And for him, by the end of Fire, to be able to let her go, in a sense that he was still in pain, but he was able to maybe move forward and to be with someone else. Like, he was open to the idea a little bit more, and he was just able to finally let go. And the same as for Selena, she was finally able to let go and take the ring off. But in Queen of Shadows, they don't handle the situation very well. But I'm okay now. Like, their relationship was sweet, and it was like a first relationship for Selena, but I finally can accept what's going on, and like I'm finally there. I've finally gone through the 5 stages of grief, guys. I finally did it. So we can talk about Rowan now. So the thing too is, Heir of Fire was my least favorite book because it introduced Rowan, and he was the first territorial Fae bastard we had ever seen from Sarah J Maas, because A Court of Thorns and Roses wasn't out yet and we only knew about her one series. But I just hated him. Like, I honestly just hated him. And as it got to like Queen of Shadows and the end of that book and Empire of Storms, I started shipping Rowlena, and he actually had the worst introduction, honestly, because he didn't talk to her. He punched her in the face for saying something against his queen, and he was always hitting her and punching her. And that time that he bit her to try and get a rouse out of her, that was all very bad behavior. It's not like Rowan went through a redemption arc though. Like, he was never a villain character. It's just he was sired to someone who was a shit bitch. Is what happened here. But the fact that Rowan didn't have all the facts in the way that he was treating her, and how like there was a day that he actually threatened to whip her even though he didn't know that she'd been in Indovia. And Selena, she was going through so much pain and she literally broke. Like, there was a line in the book where she had embers of a flame in her soul that was keeping her going. Rowan just went too far with one of his angry rants at her, and that flame went out and she just couldn't deal with being anyone anymore or doing anything. The minute that Rowan brought someone else into their predicament and then someone nearly got hurt, she finally was able to lash out, and to like, for him to finally find out that the whole family died and she became an assassin, what Arobin did to her, and then learning about Indovia and knowing that she got through that pain, and for the fact that he didn't know how to handle it. He's been a warrior for 500 years. For him to meet this 19-year-old girl who's gone through so much already, and for them to have such a bond, and like, yes, he was shit in the beginning, but I feel like he can be forgiven for those things because he didn't know anything about her and she didn't know anything about him, and he just had the task task of trying to make her better, but it took them months to even get her to learn how to shift and then to learn how to control her powers. And just, it's such a strong relationship though, like, and I am excited for Queen of Shadows when it gets even more developed. And then Emperor of Storms. Everyone has seen the excerpt for Kingdom of Ash, and I am not okay, but I am really hoping that, because it starts off as Prince with Rowan and he's completely lost it and he's gone back into that state he was with Lyra. And that is another thing too, is he has been just in this pocket of grief for 200 years. So to have this person come in and he just deals with her the same way, but now that she's helping him get out of it and he's helping her get out of hers, like, there's a lot of different factors here. Like, if he was just shit for no reason then became better, but you've learned out a lot of stuff about each person and it's very understandable. But as I was saying, we've got the Prince chapter and then we've got the Princess chapter, and I feel like Abbeyleec hasn't been taken over by a Valg. Like, at the end of Tower of Dawn, that's where I felt like it was going, but it just seems like she's just gone into this like cycle of grief and numbness and she doesn't even remember who she is. But I'm really hoping that it ends with King and Queen so that no one dies, because like at first I was so like okay with Abbeyleec dying. I'm just like, suck a bitch, you die. Dorian is precious and doesn't deserve to die. But still, I mean, is Dorian even going to be able to break this curse? Because I still strongly believe he's someone else's kid, because he looks nothing like his parents and he has these mysterious blue eyes and no one knows where they came from. So is it going to mean that Aileen's going to be the only one that's going to be able to die? Like, she'll be able to use the water magic to save herself? Like, she gonna die? I don't know. Like, I feel like Sarah J Maas isn't going to try and kill her main character. I've talked about so much that this character's going to die that I feel like there's no point in it happening, because like, you know, you've talked it up and probably will bring it down. Like, if this ending is shit, I'm gonna be so sad. But the main thing that I've been talking about now is just I was able to finally let go of relationship dramas and to be able to get back into the story and to enjoy it a lot more. So now Rowan is probably one of my favourite characters and I just love him. We touched on Nehemia's death, but I just want to say that when I first read this series, I don't really remember much about Nehemia. I just remember that she died, but she's actually an amazing character, and for the fact that like she pretended she didn't know much of their language so that they would talk in front of her and she'd be able to pick up a lot of information, and how she was in the rebel group. Honestly, it was such a horrible thing for her to let herself be killed so that Aelin would hopefully wake up, and I just think that was so shit. And like, everyone's always like, oh, they just killed the one black character in this book. Like, yes, there is all these issues about diversity going around Sarah J Maas anymore, but I mean, does every book need to have diversity? Like, we have still got a long way to go, but like soon enough it's gonna be like every single book's gonna have characters of all colors and all sexes and all mental health problems. Like, it's gonna be happening. It's happening now. Like, why do we have to get angry at this series that's so old when so many other books that don't have diversity in them? Like, really, we do need to not get angry at authors. We just need to either like things or not like things and just not complain about them as much as we are. But just saying, we had Nehemia, who is a person of color, and there is actually so many side characters that do have like male mates or female mates, and like Adian's bi, and like Sandra, like there's so much pain between different characters as well. And like, seriously, if you haven't read Tower of Dawn, Kale's the only white character in that book, and there is so much diversity in it. And like, if people are going to be talking about how bad Sarah J Maas is and ignore Tower of Dawn because they don't want to read Kale's story, that is what I find stupid, because you need to give all of the books a go. And again, if you don't like it, why are you complaining? Just leave. Like, this is the thing, is like, we don't need so much negativity. Like, it's okay to talk bad about a book, like to say things you don't like about it, but why maybe just do it once and then just not think about it anymore? Like, there is a lot of books that I don't like, that I don't constantly talk about and constantly bag out, because I don't like to have that much negativity on my channel. There is just so much surrounding Sarah J Maas at the moment, and it is quite sad. And like, I feel like she might snap and just stop writing books, and then that will stop so many people from knowing about stories from her. And she actually is an amazing writer, and everything that she puts in her books is there for a reason, and she's learning. She's been writing Throne of Glass for half her life. Like, she started writing it when she was like 15. So if you think about it, like probably 15 years ago there wasn't as much diversity, weren't doing it as much, and you know, she was a young girl writing this book. She pictured it, so as it came closer to by the point that when she could publish it, she had those same images in her brain, and it was just how the story was going to work for her. Like, there's a lot of different factors that people want to think about, and not just be like, oh, there's no diversity, it's stupid. Like, you just got to think through some of these things. Yes, Nehemia's death was hard. Again, I say, another character, main character that died, but like, Nehemia was so strong and amazing, and and like how she knew so much about the wide marks, and just she was such a good friend to Selena, and it really still hurts Aelin now. Like I'm really hoping in Kingdom of Ash to meet Nehemia's parents. Like that would be so amazing to have that connection, talk about the princess and be able to be with her family. Like that would just honestly be goals. And another character I do want to talk about is Aedion, because like he was just always there in my opinion. Like I never really remembered the introduction of Aedion, but like he's come in and he's the Wolf of the North, he's the whore of Ardland, and like I mean he's bi, he had a relationship with his male commander, diversity, but he was just one of those characters that you didn't really know much about him. He's 5 years older than Aelin and he's her cousin, and like they are the best of friends when they were younger, and then like his whole life he's been trying to get closer to the king so that he can hopefully end the war that's happening, because they want to get rid of magic and all that. Like the fact that he's in the rebel groups, and then he was working with Kael, and Kael was finally able to see how shit his king is. Just like the fact that all Aedion wants to do is just see Aelin once, like, and he is so loyal to her, and like as he gets into the next book and we get to see more of Aedion and get his interactions with Lysandra, like he's just one of those amazing characters and I can't wait to see more of him. He is one of my favorites, like honestly one of my faves. And like again too, is like in this book is we get introduced to the cadre, and like I didn't realize that there was more characters, because we've got Rowan, and then we have got Lorcan, then we've got Gavril, we've got Fenris, then we've got 2 others, and I think Condell, who is Fenris' twin, and there is another one of the cadre that we never see. But Kane is not a part of the cadre, but he's gonna be torturing Aelin, I think. And like just like to have the introduction to those characters too, and like actually having that part where Gavril's like, how old are you? And Aelin's, I'm 19. You can see that he visibly is just like, oh, because he looked at her and she looked like the woman that he had the relationship for a while ago, because you do find out that Aedion is Gavril's son and they do have a relationship by the like end of Empire of Storms, and just like, oh my god, and it's just so sad. Gavril and Lorcan aren't bonded to Maeve anymore. They're gonna go to Aelin. Like really, like I mean when Rowan got out of the bond, Aelin didn't want to leave Rowan. She was able to break him a blood oath, and the minute after that he's like, oh, I'm gonna blood oath to you. Like does he just not want to not be attached to someone? Like because she wanted him to be free to like come with her if he wanted, but he could leave if he wanted. But I think it'd be fun like if all of the warriors at least joined her court. Like they don't have to be bonded to her, like they can be, like she would be a good person to be bonded to because she wouldn't be hurting them or anything. But it's just, oh god, I just love these characters so much. Kingdom of Ash is 992 pages long. I don't know how we are going to get through this book, and it's coming out in 2 months, and I've still got to reread Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, and I've decided I want to read Tower of Dawn again because it was so good. Like I'm just gonna do it. Even though it's a 660 page book, I'm gonna do it. My plan is to read Queen of Shadows next month and then finish off with reading the other 2 in October. But Kingdom of Ash doesn't come out until the 23rd, so hopefully I'll probably either read that hopefully at the end of the month or read it early November. But yeah, the only question is the Biblio Squad going to pick Kingdom of Ash as their October book of the month? Because like if no one gets it in October, like that's a bit late. So hopefully they pick it for like the November book, because they have done most of Sarah J Maas's books for the last like 2 years since the club started. But anyway, I think that's all my thoughts that I wanted to get at. It was mainly just talking about my changes in opinion to the relationships that Aelin has, but honestly I love this series and no one can tell me differently. You cannot make me stop loving this series because it is actually the bomb. But anyway guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy, and I'll see you guys later.